in my opinion, UFC bantamweight and featherweight women's champion, 135 pound and 145 pound champion. Amanda Nunes is the single greatest mixed martial arts fighter of all time. And before you freak out, let me explain why. So, why do I think Amanda Nunes is the greatest fighter of all time? I'll tell you. You're going to say, but she has losses. Just about every single top fighter of all time has a loss. In the world of combat sports, there are only a few people that can claim to be undefeated, and I will throw John Jones onto that list. He has one DQ loss, and it was from a stupid rule many years ago, and that rule's still in effect, believe it or not, but he got disqualified in a fight against Matt Hamill for using the old 12-6 elbow. Dumb rule. Anyway, so I will put him on that list. You have Khabib Nurmagomedov, and probably the most successful, at least financially, undefeated fighter of all time, currently right now, is Floyd Money Mayweather, a boxer. So, in the UFC, you've got the only one with that zero that's on top of the game is Khabib Nurmagomedov. But I will explain why I still believe Amanda Nunes is the greatest mixed martial arts fighter of all time. So, everybody loses. That does not... Mike Tyson lost. Muhammad Ali lost. Anderson Silva lost. Chuck Liddell lost. Every top fighter is more than likely going to lose at least once during their career. That does not mean they're not the greatest at what they did when they were in their prime. Mike Tyson lost a couple of times. That does not mean he was once the greatest boxer of all time. Muhammad Ali, widely regarded as the greatest boxer of all time, also lost a few times. That does not mean, arguably, he was the greatest boxer ever. Amanda Nunes has lost 4 times. She lost her very first fight, and then she lost to Alexis Davis, Sarah D'Alio, and Kat Zingano in the UFC. She has not lost a single fight in over 5 years. The last time she lost was September 27th, 2014. That was at UFC 178 against Kat Zingano, who is no slouch. So it's not like she lost to a nobody. Kat Zingano, amazing fighter. She has then gone on let's count them up here. 1, she beat Shayna Baszler, Sarah McMahon, Valentino Shevchenko, Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Valentino Shevchenko again, Raquel Pennington, Cyborg, Holly Holm, and Jermaine Durandamy. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She is on a 10-fight win streak, and boy, I hope that doesn't jinx her. But she is on a 10-fight win streak coming into UFC 250 on this Saturday night. And the reason I think Amanda Nunes is the greatest fighter of all time, she beat 4 people that are wildly regarded. They're all former champions, and they're all wildly regarded as being the 4 of the best fighters of all time. And not only did she beat them, she finished every single one of them. 3 of them in the first round, 2 of them in the first minute. She smashed Miesha Tate at UFC 200 to win the Bantamweight Championship. She strangled her in the first round at UFC 200. Just a bloody, bloody mess was Miesha Tate. Then she went on and defeated Ronda Rousey in 48 seconds, a standing TKO knockout. It's not very often you see a standing TKO, but Ronda Rousey had only 1 loss at that time. And Ronda Rousey was the most dangerous woman on the planet then. And she stopped her. She lit her up like a Christmas tree. That's hard for me to say because I am a huge Ronda Rousey fan. And then she beat Cyborg, the unbeatable Cyborg. The woman everybody on the planet was scared to fight. Couldn't find fights for Cyborg. Didn't matter how hard they tried. They could not find fighters to fight Cyborg. But Amanda Nunes did not back down. She finished Cyborg in 51 seconds. Not a standing TKO. Knocked her out cold. And then Holly Holm. That's the 4th one. Holly Holm Actually, they were all in the first round. Now that I say that, I thought Holly Holm made it to the second round. Wow, that's even more impressive. So never mind me. All of these fights were all four were first round finishes. She finished Holly Holm in the first round at UFC 239 with a head kick, the same head kick that Holly Holm used to to beat Ronda Rousey. That's why I think she's the greatest female fighter of all time, because she beat four of the top athletes in their prime in the first round, finished them all in spectacular fashion. Let's go over some of the other people that a lot of people say are the greatest of all time. The other argument in mixed martial arts would be Jon Jones. And sure, Jon Jones is a super impressive athlete, but he has done a lot to himself to make people not be a fan of his anymore. But that does not take away from his mixed martial arts accomplishments. He is undoubtedly one of the greatest of all time, and there's no denying that. But the reason I give the nod to Amanda Nunes is the way she was able to defeat the fighters that she was going up against. She didn't eke out any decisions. Jon Jones has had a few decisions. Nothing wrong with that. The guys he fought were world-class athletes, but so were the fighters that Amanda Nunes fought. And pound for pound, Amanda Nunes finished them all in spectacular fashion. Jon Jones had wars with Alexander Gustafsson. One of them went to his decision. The other one he finished in the third round. Wars with Daniel Cormier. I believe the first fight with Cormier went to a decision. It did at UFC 182. The second one, he finished him with a head kick, I believe, but it got overturned. He went to decision with Oliver St. Peru, decision with Glover Teixeira, decision with Anthony Smith, decision with Thiago Santos, and decision with Dominic Reyes. So he is not going out there and finishing these top-level guys like Amanda Nunes did. That's why I would put Amanda Nunes over Jon Jones. And the other one is George St. Pierre. Let me bring up GSP here. GSP also had two losses. He lost to Matt Hughes by armbar, and he got knocked out by Matt Serra at an earlier UFC 69. In my opinion, that does not mean GSP shouldn't be in the argument as the greatest mixed martial arts of all time. But for the same reason, GSP, decision against Johnny Hendricks, decision against Nick Diaz, Carlos Condit, Jake Shields, Josh Koscheck, Dan Hardy, Thiago Alves. GSP didn't have a finish before the Michael Bisping fight, going back to January 31st, 2009. He stopped GSP, and that was a corner stoppage. That wasn't a stoppage in the fight. BJ Penn's corner stopped that fight. But he didn't fight from 2013 to 2017. He came back. He won a title in the 185-pound weight division, the middleweight division, when he choked out Michael Bisping in the third round, giving him two belts in two different weight classes, the welterweight champion and the middleweight champion. But he pieced out after he won. And for the record, I'm from Canada. GSP is a national hero where I'm from, so it has nothing to do with that. GSP pieced out after he beat Michael Bisping. Did not defend the title. Amanda Nunes is defending the championships, both championships, and finishing almost everybody she steps in the octagon with. She has had a few decisions, sure, but the top fighters in her game at her time, she has finished them all. GSP did not. GSP defended that welterweight title a bunch of times, and then pieced out after he beat Johnny Hendricks, which was a questionable decision in its own right, just like a couple of the Jon Jones decisions have been questionable. Amanda Nunes leaves no question about it. And the next fighter on the greatest of all time list, a lot of people talk about, is Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva has only won one fight since 2013, and that was a decision win over Derek Brunson at UFC 208 in Brooklyn. Questionable decision as well, but he has fought Israel Adesanya, lost. Jared Canner lost via leg kick, lost to Daniel Cormier at UFC 200, lost to Michael Bisping, who I actually think Silva should have won that fight, because that fight should have been stopped with that flying knee at the end of the second or third round. Just my opinion. And he won a decision over Nick Diaz, but that was overturned. So, but when Silva was on top, he went to decision with Talis Ladies. He went to decision with Damian Maya. He beat Vitor with a front kick, incredible fashion. Beat Yushin Okami, finished Chael Sonnen twice. Defeated Stephan Bonner. Defeated Rich Franklin, Dan Henderson, Nate Marquardt, Travis Lutter, Chris Lieben, Forrest Griffin. The list goes on and on. Because before he went on that long losing streak starting in 2013 with that no contest thrown in there and that one random win, he hasn't had a finish since 2012. But before that, he finished almost everybody. The fights weren't nearly as exciting as they once were when he first came in, but he did finish them all. Every one of them, except Damian Maya, Talis Ladies, and Patrick Cote, who I believe that fight was stopped due to an injury to Patrick Cote's leg. And as far as Khabib goes, he's the undefeated champion of the UFC right now. But I'm still going to go with Amanda Nunes just because of how she has finished all of the top-ranked competition she has faced. More devastating fashion, in my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion. The pound-for-pound greatest of all time list is debated by everybody. You could say GSP, you could say John Jones, you could say Khabib, you could say Anderson Silva. It's all your opinion. And this is just mine. I would love to hear what your opinion is on who you think is the greatest mixed martial arts fighter of all time. But the reason I put Amanda Nunes on top as the greatest, not just the greatest female fighter of all time, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time to this date is because of the reasons I've already listed. She beat the top 4 women in the world in the first round, finished them all, and she defends both the bantamweight and the featherweight championship at the same time. And this Saturday night at UFC 250, Amanda Nunes once again steps into the cage to defend her one of her UFC championships, the featherweight championship, against Canadian fighter Felicia Spencer, who was 8-1, who is absolutely no slouch. Like I said before, I'm Canadian. Everyone is like, oh, you should be for Spencer, you should be for Spencer. I would love to be for Spencer. I would love to support the hometown girl. And it's not that I'm not. I support all the fighters. It's not like I hate this guy or this person sucks. Anybody that steps into the octagon has my respect. Whether they want it or not, they have my respect. Felicia Spencer, no slouch. She's going to go in there, and who knows? Anything can happen. If you want to if you're a risk taker and want to make a lot of money, bet a few $100s on Felicia Spencer, because you never know what could happen in a mixed martial arts fight. They wear tiny 4-ounce gloves, and Spencer could easily connect to Nunes and drop her and shock the world. Nobody thought Matt Serra was going to beat GSP. Nobody thought Matt Hughes was going to beat GSP. But Matt Hughes tapped him out, and Matt Serra knocked him out. Nobody thought Chris Weidman was going to beat Anderson Silva. Nobody thought Buster Douglas had any shot in the world at knocking out Mike Tyson. So anything can happen. The more likely result is Amanda Nunes defending her featherweight championship this Saturday night. I am super pumped for Felicia Spencer and Amanda Nunes, UFC 250. Cannot wait, and I predict Amanda Nunes will walk out the reigning, defending UFC featherweight champion. And then her next fight will probably defend her bantamweight championship. So pumped.